Bloom's taxonomy. Let's explore how teachers can apply Bloom's taxonomy to scaffold language learning and enhance teaching strategies. Building the whole learner. Bloom's taxonomy helps in building the whole learner by organizing thinking skills from simple to complex. Bloom's taxonomy is a framework that helps us understand how thinking develops, moving from simple skills to more complex ones. The journey begins with the foundation, remembering. At this stage, learners recall basic facts, vocabulary, or information they have already learned. This is the starting point for all future learning. As learners build on that foundation, they gradually develop higher-order thinking skills, such as understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating. Each level prepares them for the next. The highest level is creating. Here, learners use everything they have learned to produce something new, such as an original project, a presentation, a story, or a solution to a real-world problem. In other words, Bloom's taxonomy shows us that learning is a journey, from remembering information to creating something meaningful with it. To develop the whole learner, teaching should address three overlapping domains of learning: the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains. The cognitive domain focuses on thinking and learning. It includes acquiring knowledge, understanding ideas, and developing skills such as comprehension and analysis. The psychomotor domain focuses on physical skills and coordination. In language learning, this includes activities such as pronunciation, handwriting, total physical response, and drama. The affective domain focuses on emotions, values, attitudes, and feelings. It helps learners build motivation, empathy, confidence, and teamwork. When these three domains work together, learners don't just gain knowledge. They also develop practical skills and positive attitudes. This balanced approach helps educators build the whole learner, preparing students for success both inside and outside the classroom. The cognitive domain. Let's begin the cognitive journey with the first three levels of Bloom's taxonomy: remember, understand, and apply. The first level is remember. At this stage, learners recall or recognize information they have learned before. For example, they might identify familiar words or sounds, recognize sight words, or copy model sentences. The second level is understand. Here, learners show that they understand the meaning of what they have learned. They can explain ideas, retell a story, describe their daily routine, or summarize the main points of a listening text. The third level is apply. At this stage, learners use their knowledge in new situations. They might follow spoken instructions to complete a task, role-play ordering food, or use information from a text to create something. These three levels provide the foundation for learning. Once learners can remember, understand, and apply knowledge, they are ready to move on to higher-order thinking skills such as analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Synthesis and creation. Now let's look at the final three levels of Bloom's taxonomy: analyze, evaluate, and create. These are known as higher-order thinking skills because they require learners to think more deeply and independently. The fourth level is analyze. At this stage, learners examine information by breaking it into parts, comparing ideas, and identifying relationships. For example, they might compare two characters, distinguish facts from opinions, or organize sentences into a logical paragraph. The fifth level is evaluate. Here, learners make judgments and support their opinions with evidence. They may assess a character's actions, discuss whether a decision was responsible, or justify their point of view. The highest level is create. At this stage, learners use everything they have learned to produce something original. They might write an alternative ending to a story, record and write a dialogue, or create a class magazine article. These three levels encourage learners to think critically, solve problems, and create new ideas, helping them become independent and confident thinkers. Bloom's taxonomy across the four skills. Bloom's taxonomy can be applied across all four language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. As learners move up the 6 cognitive levels, the tasks in each skill become more challenging and meaningful. At the remember level, learners identify words in listening, recite familiar phrases in speaking, decode words while reading, and copy sentences in writing. At the understand level, they summarize what they hear, explain routines, retell a text, and demonstrate comprehension through writing. At the apply level, learners use their knowledge in real situations. They follow spoken instructions, role-play conversations, use information from a text, and write their own sentences. As they reach higher-order thinking, learners begin to analyze by comparing ideas, distinguishing facts from opinions, organizing information, and comparing characters. At the evaluate level, they critique arguments, debate ideas, assess the credibility of texts, and write persuasive reviews supported by evidence. Finally, at the create level, learners produce original work. They design listening activities, deliver presentations, write new endings to stories, and create articles or stories of their own. This progression helps teachers design balanced lessons that develop every language skill while gradually building learners' thinking from simple recall to creative and independent use of language. Synthesis: the whole learner ecosystem, integrating cognitive, psychomotor, and affective skills creates a holistic learning ecosystem. Imagine a project called Healthy Lifestyle. Instead of teaching skills separately, this project connects 3 learning domains to build a complete learner. First, the cognitive domain. Students research food vocabulary and learn key terms. Next, the psychomotor domain. They use their hands and voices, designing a poster and presenting it orally. Then, the affective domain. They show teamwork, responsibility, and positive attitudes while working together. Now picture a simple vertical ladder with 5 steps. At the bottom is remember. Students learn basic vocabulary. Above that is understand. They explain healthy habits. Next is apply. They create the poster using what they learned. Higher up is analyze. They compare healthy and unhealthy choices. At the top is create. They produce the final project that brings all skills together. This approach shows how meaningful learning happens by connecting thinking skills, practical skills, and values into one holistic project. A teacher's dashboard for planning and assessment. Let's picture a simple planning path made of 5 connected circles. This path guides teachers through a smooth sequence of thinking skills. It begins with remember, tasks that ask students to recall or identify information. Then it moves to understand, where students describe or summarize ideas. Next comes apply. Students use what they learned and demonstrate skills. After that is analyze, comparing, classifying, and breaking information apart. And the path ends with create, designing, inventing, or composing original work. Below this path is a bank of assessment verbs. For remember, verbs include list, name, identify. For understand, describe, summarize. For apply, use, demonstrate. For analyze, compare, classify. For evaluate, justify, critique. And for create, design, invent, compose. Together, this dashboard helps teachers plan lessons that grow from simple recall to creative production, and choose the right verbs to match each level of thinking. Tuning the cognitive load. Differentiation in cognitive load helps cater to both struggling and advanced learners within mixed-level groups. When designing learning experiences, one size rarely fits all. To optimize learning, educators must tune the cognitive load through effective differentiation. On one side of the spectrum, focused on foundational tasks like remembering and understanding, we support struggling learners by building their confidence and core skills. On the other end, involving higher-order tasks like evaluating and creating, we challenge advanced learners by offering stretch and complexity. To connect both ends, we use mixed-level group work, a central gear that brings all students together for collaboration, blending high and low cognitive tasks within the very same classroom ecosystem. The final blueprint, teaching with intentionality. Bloom's taxonomy isn't just a theory, it can be effectively embedded into any lesson plan. Your role as a teacher is to make it intentional across every stage, in your planning, your questioning, your assessment, and your classroom activities. When used consciously, Bloom's helps learners seamlessly progress from basic recall to confident, creative language use. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share this video with fellow educators, and hit that subscribe button for more practical teaching strategies.